The sound of Madison's laughter echoed through our childhood home as I packed the last of my belongings into a worn cardboard box. My sister stood in the doorway, triumphant and cruel, watching me clear out my room. "You really thought Dad would leave you anything?" she sneered, twirling the house keys around her finger. "Face it, Emma, you were always the disappointment. The inheritance is mine, all of it. I'm Emma Bennett, 29 years old, and until 3 days ago, I thought I understood what family meant. Now, as I folded my life into boxes under my sister's gloating stare, I wasn't sure of anything anymore." Our father, James Bennett, had passed away 2 weeks ago after a brief but intense battle with pancreatic cancer. He was a successful business owner, having built Bennett Technologies from the ground up into a multi-million-dollar company. More importantly, he was the glue that held our fractured family together after Mom passed away when we were teenagers. Madison, my older sister by 2 years, had always been the golden child, at least in her mind. She went to business school, married a wealthy businessman, and made sure everyone knew about her success. I chose a different path, becoming a special education teacher. Dad never said he was disappointed in my career choice, but Madison never missed an opportunity to remind me that I was wasting my potential. "You have until sunset to get out," Madison declared, checking her expensive watch. "After that, I'm changing the locks. Can't have squatters in my new house." I wiped away a tear, trying not to let her see how much her words hurt. This was Dad's house. He would have wanted. "Dad's not here anymore," she cut me off sharply, "and the will clearly states that everything, the house, the company, all assets, goes to me. You can't argue with legal documents, little sister." The will reading yesterday had been a shock. Dad had always been fair, always treated us equally. The idea that he would leave everything to Madison and nothing to me seemed impossible, but there it was in black and white. Or so Madison claimed. She had somehow managed to get the will read privately with her lawyer, Mr. Harrison, before I even knew about it. As I taped up another box, my mind wandered to my last conversation with Dad. It was 3 days before he passed, and despite his weakness, his eyes had been clear and focused. "Emma, sweetheart," he'd said, holding my hand, "remember what I always told you about patience? Good things come to those who wait." I repeated the familiar phrase. He'd smiled mysteriously, and to those who know where to look. At the time, I thought it was just the medication making him speak in riddles. Now, I wondered if there had been more to his words. A sharp knock at the front door interrupted my thoughts. Madison's heels clicked against the hardwood floors as she went to answer it. "Mr. Phillips?" I heard her surprised voice. "What are you doing here?" My heart skipped a beat. Robert Phillips had been Dad's personal lawyer for over 20 years. He was also the executor of Dad's estate, or at least, he was supposed to be. Madison had used a different lawyer for the will reading, claiming Mr. Phillips was unavailable. "Miss Bennett." Mr. Phillips' deep voice carried through the house. "Both Miss Bennetts. Actually, I need to speak with you both immediately." I emerged from my room to find Mr. Phillips standing in our foyer, his weathered briefcase in one hand and a sealed envelope in the other. His expression was unreadable as he looked between Madison and me. "I've just returned from a 2-week conference in Europe," he stated, his tone professional. "Your father arranged for this letter to be delivered to me upon my return, with explicit instructions about timing." Madison's perfectly manicured hand reached for the envelope. "I'll take that, as the sole heir." "Actually, Mr. Phillips pulled the envelope back. Your father's instructions were very specific. This letter is to be read aloud, in the presence of both sisters, precisely when one is preparing to leave the family home." I watched as Madison's confident smile faltered slightly. "That's ridiculous. The will has already been read. Everything is settled." "Is it?" Mr. Phillips raised an eyebrow. "I find it interesting that the will was read without the presence of the executor, namely, me." He gestured to the living room. "Shall we?" Madison hesitated, then plastered on a fake smile. "Of course, though I don't see the point of this dramatics." We settled into the living room, the same room where we'd opened Christmas presents as children, where Dad had hosted countless family game nights, where he'd given us both away at our weddings. My marriage hadn't lasted. Another disappointment in Madison's eyes. Her husband, Bradley, was currently away on business, conveniently missing all of this drama. Mr. Phillips cleared his throat and broke the seal on the envelope. The paper inside looked expensive, and I immediately recognized Dad's distinctive handwriting. "My dearest daughters," Mr. Phillips began reading, "if you're hearing this letter, then 2 things have happened. I've passed away, and Madison has attempted to claim the entire inheritance for herself. Madison's face went pale. I sat up straighter, my heart pounding. Madison, my firstborn, you've always been ambitious, determined, and clever, perhaps too clever for your own good. Did you really think I wouldn't discover the forged documents, the altered contracts, the embezzled funds? The room temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Madison's hands began to shake. Over the past year, I've gathered evidence of every unauthorized transaction, every manipulated report, every dollar you've stolen from Bennett Technologies. The total amounts to nearly $2 million. That's a lie, Madison burst out, but her voice quivered. Mr. Phillips continued reading, unperturbed. I've kept this evidence in a secure location, along with my real will, which Mr. Phillips will now execute. Madison, you've forced my hand. Your actions have shown me that you're not ready for the responsibility of running the company or managing the family estate. I watched as my sister's perfectly composed facade cracked further with each word. Therefore, my actual will, which Mr. Phillips holds, divides my assets as follows. The company leadership and majority shares will go to Emma, whose integrity and compassion make her better suited to carry on my legacy. The house will be sold, with proceeds split equally between my daughters, contingent upon Madison repaying every dollar she embezzled. No, Madison whispered. No, no, no. Emma, my patient daughter, I'm sorry for this deception. I needed to see how your sister would behave when she thought she held all the power, your strength in facing adversity, your dignity in the face of cruelty. These are the qualities that will serve you well as you lead Bennett Technologies into the future. Tears rolled down my cheeks as Dad's words washed over me. Even from beyond the grave, he was teaching us lessons. Mr. Phillips has all the necessary documentation, including records of Madison's activities. Madison, you have a choice to make. You can accept these terms, repay what you've taken, and remain a part of the company with a minority share, or you can fight this in court, where all evidence of your activities will become public record. Madison slumped in her chair, her earlier arrogance completely evaporated. I love you both, but actions have consequences. Madison, I hope you'll learn from this and become the person I know you can be. Emma, I trust you to lead with wisdom and compassion. Remember, good things come to those who wait, and to those who know where to look. Mr. Phillips folded the letter and pulled out another document from his briefcase. This is your father's actual will. Shall we proceed with the official reading? I nodded, still processing everything I'd heard. Madison remained silent, her makeup streaked with tears. The next few hours were a blur of legal documents and revelations. The evidence against Madison was overwhelming. Dad had been thorough in his investigation. Regular transfers to offshore accounts, falsified expense reports, manipulated contracts with suppliers. She'd been secretly bleeding the company dry while maintaining her lavish lifestyle. Why? I finally asked her as Mr. Phillips organized his papers. Why did you do it? Madison wouldn't meet my eyes. It was never enough, she whispered. The salary, the bonuses. Bradley always wanted more. Bigger house, better cars, longer vacations. I couldn't keep up. You could have talked to Dad, or me. And admit failure? She laughed bitterly. Perfect Madison. Failing at life? I couldn't let anyone know. Mr. Phillips cleared his throat. Miss Bennett, Madison, you have 48 hours to decide how you want to proceed. Either accept your father's terms or face legal consequences. After he left, Madison and I sat in silence for a long time. The sun was setting, casting long shadows through the windows. Somewhere in the distance, a lawnmower hummed, normal life continuing while our world shifted on its axis. I'm sorry, Madison finally said, her voice small, for everything I said today, for how I've treated you. I know, I replied softly. What are you going to do? She took a shaky breath. Accept Dad's terms. I have to. Bradley, he doesn't know about any of this, and if it goes public. I understood. Madison had built her life on appearances, on being the successful daughter. A public scandal would destroy everything she'd worked for, the legitimate parts as well as the fraudulent ones. The next few months were a whirlwind of changes. Madison sold her house and liquidated her assets to repay the embezzled funds. Bradley, upon learning the truth, filed for divorce and moved to California. The family home was sold to a young couple with 3 kids. It felt right, knowing new memories would be made within those walls. Taking over Bennett Technologies was daunting, but Dad had left detailed instructions and an excellent management team. I discovered that my background in special education gave me unique insights into personnel management and problem solving. The company flourished under a leadership style that prioritized people over profits. Madison, surprisingly, thrived in her new role as a minority shareholder. Without the pressure to maintain appearances or support Bradley's expensive tastes, she rediscovered her genuine talent for business development. We weren't best friends, but we were building a better relationship, one based on truth rather than competition. A year after Dad's letter changed everything, I was cleaning out my old desk at the company headquarters when I found another envelope, this one hidden in a false bottom drawer. Inside was a short note in Dad's handwriting. Emma, if you're reading this, you've probably started reorganizing everything. You always did like things in their proper place. I want you to know that I never doubted you. Your compassion isn't weakness, it's your greatest strength. Madison needed to learn this lesson, but you already knew it. Lead with love, stay true to yourself, and remember that family can always find their way back to each other. Love, Dad. I smiled through my tears, carefully folding the note and placing it in my wallet. Dad had known exactly what he was doing, orchestrating this elaborate lesson from beyond the grave. He'd given Madison a chance at redemption and me the confidence to lead. Most importantly, he'd given us both an opportunity to rebuild our relationship as sisters. Today, Bennett Technologies is stronger than ever. We've expanded our charitable giving, established a scholarship program for underprivileged students, and created a corporate culture that feels more like a family than a business. Madison runs our international division, her natural charm and business acumen put to better use. The family home's new owners invite us over for barbecues sometimes. Watching their children play in the same backyard where Madison and I once played, I'm reminded that endings can also be beginnings. Dad's last lesson wasn't just about patience or justice, it was about forgiveness, growth, and the enduring power of family love. As for that famous Bennett stubbornness, well, these days Madison and I use it to support each other rather than compete. And somewhere, I know Dad is smiling, pleased that his daughters finally learned the most important inheritance isn't money or property, it's the love and wisdom we share with each other. Life has a way of teaching us exactly what we need to learn, even if the lessons come in unexpected packages. Sometimes it takes losing everything to find what really matters. Madison and I discovered that truth together, thanks to a father who loved us enough to help us find our way back to being sisters. The sound of laughter still echoes through the halls of Bennett Technologies, but now it's genuine, shared joy rather than cruel triumph. And every time I pass the family photo in my office, showing Madison and me at last year's company picnic, I whisper a thank you to Dad for knowing exactly what we needed, even when we didn't know ourselves. Good things really do come to those who wait, and to those who know where to look. Dad taught us that patience isn't just about waiting, it's about being ready for the moment when truth reveals itself. In our case, that truth arrived in a sealed envelope on what I thought was the worst day of my life, but turned out to be the beginning of something beautiful. Madison and I meet for coffee every Sunday now, a simple tradition that would have seemed impossible a year ago. We talk about work, life, and memories of Dad. Sometimes we even laugh about that day with the letter, though the laughter is tinged with remorse and understanding. We're not perfect, but we're family, and now we finally know what that really means.